What the hell's the matter with you?
Sit down. I need to tell you something.
Did you toss her bike into the river, Deacon?
Hey guys, Pete here. Today I've got a preview of episode 6 of Mare of Easttown. I'm going to do a trailer breakdown and discuss the theories I have, and then talk about some of the other ones that are out there as well. As a warning, this video will contain speculation and potential spoilers. If you don't like watching the trailers, then this video is definitely not for you, and this is your chance to get out of here. And with that out of the way, let's get to it. As far as it goes, Mare of Easttown is certainly a character study, and it might be more about the town itself rather than its human inhabitants, but it's also a mystery. As we move along, it's pretty clear that part of the way they unravel things is by throwing out one or more characters, put them out front at the end of an episode, and make them look super guilty, only to ease off as we learn more about their particular situation. Frank Sheehan and Deacon Mark are the most blatant examples of this. As we get closer to the penultimate episode, they're getting ever closer to running out a road with that trick. But having said that, I don't think they're at a place to reveal what's really going on just yet. I brought this up in last week's preview and theories video in relation to one of my personal top suspects, Billy Ross. Showing that he's carrying a gun in his tackle box brings him out of the shadows. Part of the reason I found him so suspicious was because he was just hanging around looking that way. When they do that in the trailer after the 4th episode, it makes you think that he can't be the killer if you've been paying attention. This week we have a little more of that with Dylan and Jess. And that's something that I'll come back around to, what I think that means and how it changes up my thinking for the finale. Let's take a look at this trailer. The title card this time says next on, not in the weeks ahead, which means we should see all of these scenes in episode 6. Some of these overlap with what we saw in the last trailer, so I'll bring that up when we see it. And there's a few other things still kicking around out there that might be important as well. The trailer opens with the chief saying that he let Hauser go this morning, that Mare's going to take the case back. He gives her badge back. On his, we see that it has a black band around it. That's a memorial for Zabel, I would imagine. And just further evidence, if you didn't believe the interviews that he did, that Colin is in fact dead. Hauser had about 30 seconds of screen time, so it's not so surprising that she won't be working with him. But based on these clips, it does look like the chief's gonna take an active role in the investigation. We see them together, they're interviewing Brianna, and she tells them that she woke up at 2 in the morning and Dylan wasn't in bed. This seems pretty on brand for Brianna. She doesn't seem like the person you want to cross, and maybe she's developed a conscience, since it is rather suspicious that Dylan was out on the night of Erin's murder. From there we see a shot of what I presume is Philly. You see the elevated train there. That's probably related to the scenes with Billy and John we'll see later. Mare does bring Dylan back in for questioning, saying, is there something you're trying to hide? And he lawyers up, or he tries to lawyer up. And to that request, she says, yeah, I would too. And we can imagine that he will get a lawyer and they might not get anything out of him at this point. There's an aerial shot of what looks like John's truck driving along the river. I say it's John's truck because I went back and looked at episode 2 when they pull up at Kenny's place. It looks like the same one. And in the last trailer, there was a similar aerial shot of Mare driving in this same area. We see John moving a mattress and hear him say, "What the hell's the matter with you?" to a new character. This is probably his father since he's an older man. John left home in the last episode, so maybe he's staying with his dad. Either way, the new character says, "Sit down, I need to tell you something." That cuts to a shot where he's walking towards what looks like his laundry room. Billy's already in there, he's looking frantic, and he slides the door closed to keep him from seeing what's going on in there. We can't really see what it is. It looks like the washing machine is open, and there is a bottle of bleach behind him in the shot, which hints that he might be trying to destroy evidence, but we don't actually see anything on screen. Then we see the chief ask Deacon Mark if he threw Erin's bike into the river, and we see those shots of them pulling the bike out of the water again. It's interesting that Deacon Mark has come in. We don't know if he got called or if he came in on his own. The trailer makes it feel like he's being questioned, and while I tend to believe the story he told Father Dan, there could be more to it, and he's not really in a good position to not be a main suspect, in being the last person they know that talked to her on the phone, and now to be the last person they know to have seen her alive. Then we get a different cut of this scene of Jess walking at night near her apartment building. This time we hear her say, "Just leave me alone," and Dylan replies, "No, that's impossible." Then we see him bang on the car door again and scream, "Get in." Now he's in his friend Sean's car. We saw her with them in the previous episode. And in the previous trailer, Dylan added that the three of them were connected forever. Again, we see her run away, we see the car speed off, and her running down an alley, so they chase her. And in both trailers, we saw her hiding underneath a car and being pulled out from underneath. At the station, we see a cop say that Jess is here to see Mare. She has information about Erin McMenamin, and then there's a shot of Mare holding a t-shirt that looks like it says Ross Family Reunion. It looks like this is an important discovery for her, like a light bulb just went off over her head, but you can't really tell where she's at or why she made that connection. There were several posts on Reddit where people pointed out that we see these Ross Family Reunion shirts on her Instagram page when Mare's watching that one video. Of course, her last name is McMenamin, but she's a cousin to the Ross family, so it's not a big surprise that she would be at their family reunion. But perhaps there's evidence on this, or where she found it is what's making this an important find. After that, we see Billy looking tired, sipping on coffee. Then we see him with the tackle box with the gun in it, ready to go again. There's a somewhat unconnected shot of Mare walking. It looks like she's approaching a crime scene. This could be related to the bike, or it could be something we haven't seen yet. And then the trailer ends with the chief saying, "Get Mare on the phone, do it now." And based on the last trailer, and that they showed the cop saying that Jess was at the station, I imagine this is right after she hands him that photograph, which we saw that she grabbed out of the journals in episode 5. His command has an urgent tone to it, so this could be a situation where he now knows who DJ's father is, and it's something that Mare needs to know immediately. If that information comes to light at the end of episode 6, that would set the stage for a finale where the real story of what happened the night of Erin's death can be revealed. We have a 1 down, 2 to go situation. The Katie Bailey mystery is solved. There isn't much indication that it's connected to the 2 remaining mysteries. We still don't know who DJ's father is and what happened the night Erin was killed. 2 crucial mysteries to go with 2 episodes remaining. Beyond Brianna, who we see is talking to the cops, we have 3 people who might know more than what they've let on about that night. The situation is as such that none of them are very believable. Deacon Mark has a previous allegation of sexual misconduct with a 14-year-old girl. He'd have an interest in concocting a story that would shift the focus away from him. Based on the timeline of when they introduced him as a suspect and everything we've seen since then, it's easy for us as viewers to write him off as the killer. Not so much for the cops investigating him, though. Most of the characters who were presented as the main suspect all popped up too early for it to actually be them. What does that say about Dylan then? Because they're sure making him look pretty guilty right now. There's not much to like about this character. Really, the only thing they've even hinted at being likable about him is that he does appear to care about DJ even after learning that he's not the biological father. Beyond that, he sucks, and he's got at least 2 big secrets going on. First, he left the house on the night of the murder after Brianna fell asleep. From his initial interview with Mare, we know he went back there after the fight, and we did see them wake up together the next morning when DJ was crying. In this trailer, she says she woke up a couple hours later at 2 a.m. and he wasn't there. From the medical examiner, we know the time of death was between midnight and 2 a.m. And honestly, there's no good explanation for where he might have went. There is a popular theory out there that he might be involved in drug dealing. This mostly stems from the idea that he has this really nice car that he drives around, but his family's not super well off. There may be something to that. I mean, he wouldn't want anyone to know about it if that's what he was doing. But at this point, it's hard to connect the dots on how that would influence everything else that's going on. And literally, there's not a lot to go off of besides his car and that we saw him smoking a joint with Sean when they picked up Jess. Of course, the second secret is that he conspired with Jess to destroy the journals. That could be connected. She knew him. She would have known what he was up to, so there could be stuff about that written in the journals, but I'm not really convinced. Obviously, he's no more believable than Deacon Mark, and his being her ex makes him a likely suspect in the eyes of the police. As far as Jess is concerned, she was presented as a true friend. When Erin came over that night before she went to Sharp's Woods, their friendship looked pretty genuine. And while we do see that Dylan is influencing her to mislead the police after the fact, it doesn't really make sense that he would have told her to go over there and tell her about Frank. Remember, Mare found out about that before she went to the hospital and told his parents there was a rumor that he might not be the biological father. When his dad mentioned that to him, he seemed to be surprised. With Dylan, he's definitely got something going on. It's going to put him on the radar of being the killer again. The trailer makes that pretty clear. And it's certainly not impossible that he might have met her at Brandywine Park and something went wrong and she was killed by accident. But beyond that, it's pretty hard to think of him just killing Erin. He sucks, but is he a killer? There's a lot of room in between those two things. With Jess, it still makes the most sense to me that she would be doing whatever she's doing in an effort to honor her friend's memory. She is conspiring with Dylan. However, I don't think that would be related to some drug dealing or anything like that, considering she didn't exactly look comfortable with smoking weed when Sean passed her the joint in that car. Also, when they were together, it didn't seem like Erin knew about the two of them talking to each other. Joanna Robinson, who writes for Vanity Fair, wrote up a pretty good theory about the end. I won't retell all of what she wrote there. I will put a link to it in the description though, because it's worth a read. But she basically ended up on the idea that they could be working together because they both want to keep who the real father is a secret. If the police had the journals and they found out who the father was, then Dylan's family would lose DJ. And that is something that we heard Jess say, that Erin lied about Dylan being the father because she really wanted his parents to be in DJ's life. That does make sense. However, it doesn't explain what we've seen in the last two trailers. Something about this is going to fall apart. I'm presuming that when we saw Jess pocket that picture, it is something that would reveal who the real father is. That would explain why Dylan didn't want her to go to the police, but really nothing about how we get to that point. Other than maybe she never knew until she read the journals, and it's just been eating away at her because it'll help solve the case. Erin herself still has some secrets we want to know the answers to. The locket that Mare found, we don't know what that's all about. And we also saw Dylan pocket some money that she had managed to save up for the ear surgery. It's not really clear where she got that. It didn't look like too much, maybe a couple $100, but it does hint that something else is going on. From there, the focus does shift on to the Ross family. Like I said in my last video, I do imagine that the killer will turn out to be someone that we've met, but we haven't fully suspected yet. I was thinking about Billy, but now he's firmly on the radar. Now that Mare knows they live together and he got freaked out and left after she found out, we saw her staring at the beer bottle. It's possible that she'll try to use that to collect his DNA, but I'm still kind of leaning towards that picture being the clue that's going to break things wide open. Either way, it's clear that Mare was thinking about how he might be connected to things after hearing he lived with Erin. Billy isn't looking like the best suspect anymore, although I think it is possible that he could still be the father. But this whole situation with Ryan and John is really starting to make you wonder if John isn't actually the one we need to be looking at. He made a point of providing an alibi for Frank, which also gave him an alibi for that night. That certainly feels suspicious. The whole way that the idea of the affair played out seems a little bit suspicious too. Lori put the answers into Ryan's mouth. He never said it himself. He only nodded yes at the end, and he could have been trying to make the whole thing stop. Those two might be carrying a big secret. The reason Billy looks so suspicious all the time might also be because he knows about it. And in this trailer, it looks like he has some kind of culpability, or he was doing something that he was trying to cover up that their father knows about. I think there's a good chance that what Ryan knows will play a big part in figuring out the end. I think finding out DJ's father will also be key. And it's kind of exciting that John's father's going to him to tell him something where he might be giving that information up to the exact wrong person. Even if John isn't guilty, he would probably cover things up for his brother. And considering that they've made the choice to present Mare as a crooked cop, it does leave things open and make you wonder how she'll react to that, considering that Lori's her best friend. Based on removing the characters I've mentioned, if it's not John, who does that leave? Richard, Siobhan, Lori, Father Dan, Ryan, and Frank and Faye. Ryan's a kid, and he would have had to get there with a gun and get the body to the river after. That would involve an accomplice, but it would also involve him being a killer. It seems more likely he probably found out something he wasn't supposed to and might spill the beans. Father Dan is the same. All things considered, he isn't very shady. I think Richard serves an obvious purpose to be there for Mare after what happened to Colin. We've seen them kissing in the last trailer and know that he's still trying to be in her life. There may be ulterior motives involved, or he may have more secrets, but they would have to do a hard turn to setting it up for it to make sense for him to be revealed as the killer at this point. Yes, Guy Pearce is a well-known actor, and he does seem to be a little underutilized right now. But in all the press materials, he is listed below Lori, Helen, Siobhan, and Colin. I mean, if Mare found that Ross family reunion shirt at his place, that would definitely change things. But short of something like that, I think Richard is low on the suspect list. Lori seems like a stretch to me all the way around. In the last episode, we saw her husband leave the house when she found out he was having an affair. Would she really kill a sweet single teen mother that they know personally because she found out that she was abused by that same husband? Siobhan's role in the big picture is a little unclear. I said a few episodes back that I thought she was there. She has the documentary, and that she was a connection to Kevin in that period of time for Mare. It also seems like she's the only character who has a chance to get out of Easttown. And her splitting with Becca makes it seem really unlikely that they would have had secrets about that night together. There is this persisting theory that Kevin hooked up with Erin and he's the one who's really DJ's father. And that could be something that Siobhan could find out. But I don't really see how that would be all that important to the story. If you play it all the way out, it would just mean that Mare has 2 grandkids at the end instead of 1. There is something going on with Frank and Faye, but neither one of them seem like killers to me, and they're really not on my suspect list at this time. In the end, I think John is the best suspect at this point. Is he DJ's dad? Maybe. Is Billy the dad and John knows and he's been covering for him this whole time? Maybe. It could be the other way around. It could be that John killed Erin to protect his brother, or vice versa. We'll have to wait and see. I think Jess, Ryan, and Lori will be the key players in bringing the information to Mare. Then we'll see how it all plays out and what kind of effect it has on Easttown. I think that's a good place to leave it. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who are your top suspects? Where do you think this thing's going? What other secrets keep kicking around in your brain? Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll be doing 2 Mare of Easttown videos again next week, so make sure you check back. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.